The spread pick and roll is perhaps the most frequently used play in the NBA today. It allows a primary ball handler, one like John Wall, to get some separation from his defender, allow him to attack the basket where he can either finish himself or he can dish it off to the big guy rolling, but they also spread the floor with many shooters as well, hence the spread pick and roll name. And this is a tactic that the majority of NBA teams have picked up on today, and James Harden and his Rockets may be the biggest example of it in today's NBA. But you know which star player I really wish had the luxury of this? What about Allen Iverson? Remember AI in the early 76ers days and how he just had to carry so much of their offense? I mean, the guy was one of the best scorers we've ever seen, constantly in isolations, and the other team just knowing before the game even started that stopping AI was going to be like the one thing they had to do, and he was still able to go off for 30 plus points for a number of seasons as he carried a group of 76ers that really just weren't offensive players, and we're going to look at it right now. I mean, Eric Snow was never an outside shooter. Then you look at his power forward Tyrone Hill, who is a far cry from the fours that we have in today's NBA. There just wasn't a whole lot of shooting around Iverson, which means you could double team and triple team the guy all you wanted to. I mean, the biggest play they had, which was titled the Iverson cut, was a way to get him in isolation on a specific side of the floor. And I've used this example before, but imagine if he was on a team like the Rockets, or just in a modern day basketball situation where the team around him said, okay, we have a guy who's a fantastic ball handler as well as a creator of his own shot. Let's surround him with a whole bunch of shooters. Let's get a big man who can set him some screens, and let's just see what can happen. And I think Iverson would be perhaps even better in today's NBA, just because with the point guard thriving in today's league, I mean, you have to imagine Iverson would fit into that very well. And it wouldn't just come from the pick and roll, but I mean, just having floor spacers. Like, even if Iverson just had a guy like Trevor Ariza on that 76ers team, someone who could just stretch the floor and force his defender to go, well, I can't really leave this guy, which would allow Iverson to attack. I'm pretty sure AI would get to the free throw line a million times in today's NBA. He already got to the line 10 plus times a game in the early and mid 2000s. In today's NBA, the way they call fouls, I mean, my goodness. Pick and rolls, shooters around him, getting to the free throw line whenever he wanted to, and I think it could have been a lot better for him for his overall career rather than just doing a whole bunch of isolations. But there's also another guy who I think would contribute from today. That's Pistol Pete Maravich, who was known for his theatrics with the ball when it came to his ways to fake out defenders with his hands going in one direction and the ball going in the other one, around the back moves between the legs. I mean, I've seen some people say that he was Magic Johnson before Magic Johnson. And I think Maravich might be the biggest example in NBA history of a star player who just didn't have the teammates around him. For his career, he averaged 24 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds a game. And I think if he played today, as the title of the video would suggest, it would just go better for him. First and foremost, they didn't have a three-point line when he played. Don't allow 2K to deceive you on this one. But by all accounts, Maravich was a hell of an outside shooter. I mean, the point totals he put up, especially in college, were pretty damn ridiculous, and that was without a three-point line. If you put him into the modern-day NBA, where we do have a three-point line and we're also embracing the hell out of it, I think Maravich could put up 30 points a game plus, because with how exciting of a dude he was in the 70s, just imagine today when we see Steph Curry shooting off-ball three-pointers. I have to assume that the Pistol would be of a very similar mold on that one, but also imagine if Maravich had a center like Dwight Howard next to him, who he could just run screens with and lob it up to all day. I mean, if I'm trying to defend this duo, I'm like, well, Maravich can kill me if I leave him, but Dwight could dunk on my head too. It's too bad that it will never happen. But you know why we also need Maravich in today's NBA? Twitter would love the guy. I mean, just last night, I heard about Pau Gasol getting dunked on by Andrew Wiggins. I just had to search Andrew Wiggins in the thing, and I immediately found the dunk of Pau Gasol getting embarrassed for like the 9 millionth time in his career. Imagine Maravich, imagine just like all the clips and the vines that we would see just from this guy crossing people up, hitting them with around the backs, doing full court passes. I mean, you know the Westbrook commercial where Russell jokes about how he saved Vine? I think Pistol Pete could legitimately save Vine. And that's what you want to hear when you're talking about Pistol Pete Maravich, is someone talking about an app of 7-second videos. But seriously, the excitement that he would provide would just be great. On top of, I would like to see how a good NBA coach could implement him off ball, because again, with the 3-point line, like, I think he could really kill it there. So, Pistol Pete Maravich. It's really too bad that we couldn't be in today's NBA, because I feel like he was kind of built for it. Can we get like a time machine or something to just pull him from the 70s? Now we're going to talk about the forward position for our next two guys. Markieff Morris is an example of a guy who's traditionally not strong enough to be a power forward. If he was playing 10 years ago, he'd be a 3. But the impact that he's had for the Wizards, especially when he's playing defense, is huge. And he's also a guy who can put the ball on the floor and shoot a bit. Kind of like a hybrid forward that's just so prevalent in today's NBA. Ron Artest, of the Indiana Pacers and of the Malice in the Palace fame, would be kind of a cheat code in today's NBA when you think about it. But let's talk about Artest first. Strength was his biggest thing. 6'7", 260 pounds. My goodness. One of the best defensive players the NBA's ever seen. I wouldn't say that he was the most athletic dude on the floor, but he definitely knew how to move around, and then he combined that with just how big and strong he was. He could lock up a lot of guys, but he also had other abilities as a ball handler, as a passer. He was never a great offensive player, but he was pretty decent combined with what he could do defensively, and the jumper came and went. So in other words, the guy's Draymond Green. Like when you look at what Draymond does at 6'7", 220 pounds, Artest has 40 pounds on the guy. So the way that Green is a defender of all 5 positions as well as a screen setter and a playmaker, I think Artest would just be that, and he could potentially be even more effective just given how much stronger he was. I don't think he'd have a problem defending today's NBA power forwards, but I also think if a guy like a DeMar DeRozan is going off, you can put Artest on him because, I mean, the guy defended wing players his entire career anyway, so I know he can do that one. Perhaps a point guard is getting a little too comfortable. You could put Artest on him for a possession or two. I mean, if you're walking up floor and you see a 6'7" monster just about to defend you, like, I don't know how hyped I would be about dribbling, but here's the other one. I think he could actually have a chance against NBA centers. The way Draymond Green does it, I could picture Artest being the same exact way. The dude was strong as hell, and given that we're in an NBA today where we'll just go, screw it, let's play this guy at center for 8 minutes and see what happens, I think Artest would really thrive in that area, man. And especially since a lot of NBA centers today are not the best when it comes to offense, like, I don't think you would get killed there. And then on the other side of the floor, I think at the small ball 4 position, he could mimic a lot of what Draymond Green does as a ball handler. I mean, Artest was never a guy who was going to put up a huge amount of assists, but 3 or 4 a game while being in the pick and roll and a guy who can grab just a few rebounds a game, then I think that would be all you could ask for of Artest. I think he really could just be another Draymond Green, just super versatile and able to do so many things for an offense. And now another forward is Shawn Marion, the Matrix, who, when we look at guys who were just super athletic and the way that they utilized it throughout their careers, Marion is definitely up there with just how much he did, whether it be scoring 20 points or grabbing like 10 rebounds a game and contributing with 2 steals and 2 block shots and just doing whatever the hell you wanted. I think similar to a Ron Artest, he was also able to defend multiple positions, and that was so valuable for the Suns in their 7 seconds or less era because they really weren't a team that focused on defense too much. They needed Marion to provide some life on that side of the floor because it wasn't going to happen from too many other guys. So if we plop Shawn in today's NBA, and I mean, his later years, he was around today's day, but I mean, at his peak when he was super athletic, similar to Artest, I think he could definitely be a hell of a defensive player. I don't know if he would have as much success against some of the more physical guys in the NBA just because he's not 6'7", 260 pounds like Artest is, like I mentioned. But I do think he could have his way defending point guards through small forwards and some power forwards, definitely. And I also think he could be a hell of a help defender. The way Serge Ibaka comes out of nowhere to block your shot, I think Marion could be very deadly in that style of play. I also would have no problem putting him on a shooting guard like a Chris Middleton to guard him when he's coming across screens. If you want him to defend a point guard, I think he can do that as well. Defensive versatility is huge in today's NBA. Being able to defend multiple positions is just, it's great. And I think, similar to Artest, I do think he could have a little bit of that small ball 4 playmaking ability, but where I think he could really be killer is even if he's not a great 3-point shooter, he could be a fantastic cutter when the offense spreads the floor, so you still don't want to leave him open because the moment you do, he's going to cut to the rim where he can either finish at the basket or catch an alley-oop because, again, he's one of the most athletic players that we've seen in a long time. But now we're going to talk about another forward, Ryan Anderson, and the 3-point shot specifically. Our next guy coming up would love the 3-pointer in today's NBA because he loved it 10 years ago, and that's Rasheed Wallace. The last 5 years of his career, he shot around 35% from 3. And by the way, these were a couple of long 2s in the footage, but just give me a break. Rasheed already embraced the outside shot. So if you had him in today's NBA, he'd be loving it. They would tell him right from the get-go, hey, we want you to learn how to shoot threes, and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't complain about that one at all. But before we dive into what he could really do in today's league, some other things Rasheed could do. Awesome post-up player. He has perhaps my favorite post-up move ever, where he would just seamlessly put the ball above his head and then immediately turn it into like a turnaround jumper. They talk about Dirk's shot being impossible to block. Rasheed's weird turnaround jumper was impossible to block as well. Defensively, he was also pretty damn good. Now, he was not asked to defend the pick and roll as much as you would be in today's NBA, and that would be the interesting thing, because in today's league, like I mentioned earlier, guys are setting screens for point guards like crazy people, and if Rasheed was able to provide help defense and switch and keep the point guard honest while also defending his guy at the same time, that would be awesome. But if he was not able to do that, I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world, because with how versatile he is and how good he was at still defending around the basket, he could just play the center position and just be a guy who grabs rebounds on one end while always just hanging around the rim and defending the other team's 5, and then also being still a very good 3-point shooter, I assume. He could be a matchup nightmare for a majority of NBA big guys, but if you played him next to another big, you could have that inside-outside game where one dude's around the basket and Sheed is providing all the floor spacing. The dude was really a stretch 4 before stretch 4s were even a thing. Now, if you do question how Rasheed's effort and technical foul style of stuff would affect him, yeah, it's a valid concern. But we can also talk about his post-game. Like I mentioned, I think he'd be able to hang around pretty well defensively in today's NBA, which means teams would not have a problem with throwing him the ball down low for a couple of possessions. I don't think he'd be an example of Greg Monroe, who can't play defense, therefore he has to come off the bench. I think Sheed would be fine as a starter. But we can also talk about the guy would be in pick and pops all day. So he'd provide the outside shooting, he'd be a scorer inside, as well as a competent enough defensive player. Rasheed was built for 2017 NBA, he really was. And then if we talk about the other guys, Allen Iverson would get to the free throw line 500 times a game. He would also be holy crap, there's not 3 guys defending me right now, and I can kick it out to you, and you can actually shoot, which I'm sure would just blow his mind. Ron Artest, in my opinion, would be right up there with Rudy Gobert, Kawhi Leonard, and Draymond Green for one of the best defensive players in the league, because I think he really could defend 1 through 5. Pistol Pete Maravich would set Twitter on fire, and he would also probably put up 25 plus points pretty easily, given that he'd actually have a 3-point line. And Shawn Marion, similar to Ron Artest, would be awesome defensively, And his athleticism, I mean, that's going to shine through no matter which era you're playing in.